have foreseen for this course in this distance learning path. My name is Felix Martin Daza, and I am the coordinator of this course. I work in the International Training Center of the ILO, organizing courses on occupational safety and health and labor inspection. And it's for me a pleasure to run this course because this is the first edition of this course that we expect that will be the first of a series, considering that it is attracting a lot of interest in different countries of the world, in different organizations, public and private companies. So in this third webinar, differently to the other two ones that were more general or more introductory on the digitalization and artificial intelligence and governance of these issues, we are going to talk more on occupational safety and health, in which way these new technologies are changing the way in which different organizations and enterprises are operating on occupational safety and health. In this webinar, we will have with us Mr. Héctor UPEGUI, who will act as a facilitator and also as a presenter. You already have met him in previous webinars. He is a specialist on risk management, social protection, and has a long experience also on different new technologies applied to all these fields. We will also have Ms. Diana Gagliardi from the National Institute for the Insurance of Occupational Accidents in Italy, and also Secretary of the International Commission of Occupational Health. She will share her experiences of INAIL, this Italian body in charge of not only on the insurance of occupational accidents and diseases, but also in promoting safety and health in Italy. In fact, this is the competent authority in Italy in the field of occupational safety and health. And after Diana, we will have with us Mr. Lars Hoffmann. Lars Hoffmann is the manager of the occupational safety and health of Siemens. Siemens is a German company specialized in a number of, let's say, of machines, but also softwares that are used in the industry and have very interesting developments in the field of digitalization and artificial intelligence. So this is what we are planning for the webinar of today. And I would like just to start giving you some information on what is going to happen next week when you will come here for the face-to-face part in Turin. Let me share my screen, and I will, just for your information, I will upload this presentation for you to let me check just one moment in the platform. Just if you want to check or to have more information, you can always consult it into the platform. So just to share with you what are our plans next week, I think it's better to have a format of this timetable so you can have a quick view of everything that is planned. As you know, this is a course of 1 week here, the face-to-face or the residential phase. The sessions are divided in 4 sessions. In general terms, we'll have 2 sessions of 90 minutes in the morning and we have two sessions of 75 minutes in the afternoon. This is what is planned. On Monday, we will have an introductory session, an opening ceremony, in which we will be together with the participants of other 4 courses that are also running at the same time on artificial intelligence and digitalizations on other topics: labor inspection, labor migration, social protection, and labor relations. And all of them have a similar structure, but with some differences because of the topics, of course. In the second session, we will have with us Ms. Daphne Papandrea, who is a colleague from ILO Geneva, from the Department of Occupational Safety and Health and Working Environment of Geneva, who has been involved in the works for the preparation of our report elaborated by the ILO on the role of the artificial intelligence and digitalizations at work, and who has been involved also in a quite recent convention, the discussion of convention on platforms that took place the last weeks. She will talk to us about all these issues. In the afternoon, we will have with us Mr. Sventin, who will talk about different applications and technologies that are using and are promoting from his organization. His organization is DGUB. This is the accident insurance body in Germany. However, again, as in the case of INAIL, they have many other activities. They perform many other activities, not just the insurance or rehabilitation activities for injured or sick workers, but also they promote safety and health among insured organizations and companies. And also they perform activities of inspecting enterprises and also providing advisory services to the companies. So they have many of their experiences are not just on providing support to the enterprises, but also how to manage the information of the different companies in Germany in the field of occupational accidents and diseases. That is also quite relevant. We will have some time for what I call peers presentation. I will talk to you later about this peers presentation because it's something that we will ask you to do. So let's continue talking about what is planned on Tuesday. On Tuesday, we will have Mr. Maurizio Curtarelli, who is the specialist in the European Agency on Safety and Health at Work. This is an agency of the European Union that basically promotes the interchange of information among the different countries of the European Union. Basically, they collect information related with occupational safety and health from the different countries and organizations and share this information to all the other state members. So they provide a big amount of information on what is going on in the different countries, and they share good experiences that are frequently replicated in different countries. Let me tell you that the information provided by them is free and is available in the webpage. So even it's available in different languages that are the ones of the European Union. Maurizio Curtarelli and his team has been working on different they have produced different reports on innovation technologies and occupational safety and health. And in fact, he will be with us in a couple of sessions just to share different experiences. The first part, they will show what are the different methods, tools that have been found particularly interesting for enterprises and organizations. And in the second case, they will present what are the challenges and the limitations of these technologies for workers and employers in the enterprises. On Tuesday's second session, we will have Mr. Ekrem Kakai from WIPO. WIPO is an international organization on patents, and every year they produce a report on the new patents in the world on occupational safety and health. And of course, in the latest years, there are a lot of new developments and new patents. So he is going to show what are their experience. I mean, what is the evolution and what are the trends in this regard. In the first session of afternoon, Mr. Héctor UPEGUI will talk about on analytics and dashboard, how they can be used for some organizations, how to collect the data and how this data will help us when we have some artificial intelligence tools that can help us in manage big amounts of information. In the last session, we will discuss more than talk about some technologies that are applied. Okay. Basically on virtual reality and augmented reality applications to the occupational safety and health training. We are using here in Turin some of these technologies, and we will share with you some of that. Just for your information, in addition of the peer presentations, we will have that day, on Tuesday, the course dinner. We will go at 6 outside with all the group of participants to the course dinner. On Wednesday, as mentioned, we already mentioned it already. We have Mauricio Curtarelli, and then we will have again Ms. Diana Gagliardi talking about the experience, but in this case, in this particular case of ICOH, the International Commission of Occupational Health. Because as mentioned before, Diana is the Secretary General of this organization of safety and health practitioners in the world. For those that they don't know, they are the oldest and one of the biggest organizations in this field. Then the second session, we will have a panel on governance of artificial intelligence and digitalization, in which basically will be a panel to try to see what are the benefits, but also the challenges for workers, employers, and governments. And we will have the perspective in this panel, the perspective of Diana Gagliardi representing government institutions, Aida Ponce from the European Trade Unions Institute based in Brussels, and Ms. Chiara Cirelli, who is the head of capacity building of the International Organization of Employers. That day, we will have a group picture that will be distributed to all of you. In the afternoon, it is planned that we will have an exercise, a strategic foresight for occupational safety and health to 2050. Basically, this is an exercise to try to see what we can expect, or what we think that we can expect on occupational safety and health by 2050, considering the developments that we are observing in the last years and the direction of these developments. On Thursday morning, we are going to visit a company that is called 3M. 3M is one of the companies that has more patents in the Western Hemisphere on occupational safety and health. They produce, among other things, personal protective equipment, but also they produce many other things. We are going there to have to know what are their philosophy regarding occupational safety and health, and also we will visit their labs, their laboratories, on what are they doing or what are the new developments that are having in the last year. So we will be there all the morning. We are also planning to eat there. We will have the lunch there, and we are also planning to have some time in Milan, because the trip to Milan takes 2 hours, 2 hours 15. So we think that maybe it will be good to give some free time there in the afternoon for those of you that they want to have a look to the city. And then on Friday in the morning we have some speakers and in the morning, and some closing ceremony. We expect to close the course around 1:30, and after that you can organize your return to your country. However, remember that this will not be the end of the course, because we are planning also to have some homework. And this is what I wanted to talk to you now. One of the things that we would like to encourage you to start doing is to prepare a presentation. So when we think about this course, we are not thinking that we are just delivering some information to you, but we would like you to prepare some presentations on what you can do or what could be nice for you to do in your organization. So you are required to prepare a short presentation, maximum 5 minutes, not long presentations, 5 minutes, with the following information: a selected process, procedure, or problem in your organizations that you would like to improve, and that you would like to improve with some technology or some tool or some method or any approach that will be seen or is considered as a tool, as an innovative tool or a technological tool. So you have to select the process or the problem in your organization, the improvement or innovation or the tool or the method that you would like to implement in your organizations, and indicate what are the expected benefits and eventually the possible challenges of this solution. So all of you should prepare this short presentation. You can prepare a PowerPoint presentation or another resource, not necessarily a PowerPoint presentation, for the delivery of your presentation. What is important is when you deliver this presentation, you have to make clear to your audience what you want to do, why you want to do it, and what is the expected results of the approach, method, or tool that you want to implement. You should start thinking or preparing your presentations even before coming to the residential phase. And colleagues from the same institutions may also collaborate and submit a joint presentation based on a shared initiative or idea. It means if you are 3 or 4 from the same organizations, instead of preparing 3 proposals, you can prepare 1. When you will be here, you have to deliver your presentations in some time slots that we are making available in the last half an hour of Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So this is basically what we want you to do, so that you can start thinking and preparing something for this 5 minutes presentation. And basically, this is what I wanted to share with you. I will put all this information in the platform, and I will provide you with further information in the platform. I'm not taking more of your time, and I would like just to give the floor to Mr. Héctor UPEGUI, who will be the facilitator for the rest of this session. Thanks, Héctor. You have the floor.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you very much, Felix, and welcome everybody. This is exciting moments. This is fantastic. The possibility for all of us then to share and to have this environment where we all can exchange. What we have been saying through all this time is that all of us, we are in a learning path. This is a journey from all of us. So don't take these courses as final information or final knowledge. Take this as elements for your journey so that you can keep on going on your own, that you can share with your colleagues. Take time to get to know each other. Take time to get to know us. Give us also the time for us to know you all. And then in this case, we can keep on creating a community of people that can always exchange on this. Why is this so important? I mean, at the end of the day, the challenge with artificial intelligence is that, and this type of technology, this digital world, the challenge with it is that it is across. So in other words, this doesn't respect industry. This doesn't respect age. This doesn't respect level of knowledge. This doesn't respect working life from daily life, or from personal life. What I mean is that the digital world, and especially the artificial intelligence, is now everywhere. This is very important for all of us, because this means that we need to control it instead of letting this technology to control us. How do we control it? We control it by knowing it, but getting more into what is inside this type of technology. This is important because in the past, we didn't have such a type of disruptive technology. I mean, we did have internet, also very big one, but this one is extremely, extremely invasive in a way that you have it everywhere. You have it in your phones, you have it in, now it's coming in your electrodomestics. It's also coming into your working life, in your machines, in your computer, in your conversations, etc. So it's not to be scared, and that's why we are here, is to be sure that we, all of us, are ready to govern this digital world. And even if we are going to discuss this and again next week, and you have been already getting into this concept through the online, let me share with you very quick these two slides. So, of course, a lot of the material that you will see from my side were created with AI to guarantee a professional editorial flow, but the content remains 100% human-driven. So in other words, this reflects my author's my original research and my pedagogical design. This means that I am not fully relying on AI to what I'm saying with you. Now, first element that I wanted to share with you, you see I'm putting a disclaimer. I'm putting a disclaimer that I'm using AI. And this is something that we need now more and more to put it in our work, in our activities. When are we using AI? When are we using AI, generative AI, in this case, for instance, to create a graphic or to help us with writing down a text? How long this will stay, I don't know, but it's recommendable for the time being then to disclose that information, to be, how to say, not just transparent, but to make people aware that I am using AI and I am using it responsibly. Okay, so that we help people to visualize that AI is helping me, and is a way then to say, I am controlling AI for the things that I am doing. Again, knowledge is the one that is going to give us the control, and then sharing knowledge and visualizing where is AI being used help us all to be more aware that this is happening, so that we can always be ready to understand it properly. Now, very quick definition on digital governance. This is one way to define it. You will also have this presentation. You also have this definition in the material that you have been receiving through the course. But in a nutshell, one way that we are approaching this in these courses is the following. A practical way to see it is, you have normally 6 elements, is what we call the 6 pillars of digital governance. So whenever you need to govern the digital world, right? Whenever you need to govern a digital transformation, when you have a project with AI, when you're implemented a dashboard with AI, when you are implementing automation with AI, for instance, just to give an example, you will always have these 6 elements. Doesn't matter what in the digital world you are doing, can be AI, can be a transformation, can be using an app, can be opening a web app, whatever. There are 6 elements. The 6 elements is the purpose, what do you want to do? The data is, where is the data coming from? Methodology is, what is the type of methodology that you are using to achieve that purpose? The tools are, what are those instruments, that those software or hardware that you're using for that? People are 2 types of people. People are the people that are going to use that solution inside your organization and outside your organization. That is one. And the second one is the people that are helping you to implement that concrete project. And finally is the process. What process do you need to change? What I am telling you this, I'm telling you this because today we have 2 fantastic presentators. Diana from INAIL. As you know, INAIL is an organization, public organization in Italy, as Felix already shared, responsible for preventing occupational accidents and occupational diseases, for compensating them. So if there is an accident or a disease, INAIL is the organization that is paying for it, and is the one also helping for rehabilitation. So INAIL is now has a very huge experience with the digital world, and now, of course, in the last time, getting more and more into artificial intelligence. And the second one is, of course, Lars Hoffmann. Lars Hoffmann, coming from Siemens, he will share type of the tools that they are using to help us with occupational safety and health. So you see both perspectives, one from a perspective of an agency, the other one from a public agency, the other one from a perspective of a employer. Both very relevant, both very important. So I hope that with the presentation from Diana and from Lars Hoffmann, you will get, and then of course at the end I will come in with some conclusions and will present, depending on the time, an additional demo. But important from this session is that you go out with the feeling that this is not science fiction, that this is doable. And with the exercise from your side to pick from what Diana is going to share and from what Lars is going to share, what of those elements you can identify already. Is it is the purpose, what might be the purpose, what might be the data that was used, what might be the methodology, the tools, the people. So in these 6 elements, try to think about it. It's not that Diana and Lars are going to go through all these 6 elements as such, but it's for you also to try to identify in the presentations and also in my presentation and the presentation that you will be hearing through all these digital governance courses, is to understand where do you see these 6 elements being reflected. Okay, I stop here. Very exciting moments, Diana. Very happy that you're here. It's an honor. Thank you for taking time, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Héctor, and thank you also, Felix and Liza, for organizing this very new and interesting initiative. So I'm going to share my screen now, and yes, you should be able to see it now, I hope. Yes?
Okay, it's okay.
Can you see it? Okay.
Yes.
So, as already Felix and Héctor introduced me, I am a senior researcher at INAIL, that is the Italian Workers' Compensation Authority, or the National Institute for Insurance Against Accidents at Work and Occupational Diseases, that since 2010 incorporates also the functions of National Research Institute on Occupational Health and Safety, so on prevention. So INAIL is a real hub for workers' health, looking into prevention through research, into compensation of damages depending from work accidents and occupational diseases, and also providing healthcare, rehabilitation, prosthesis, and return to work programs to the workers that are insured with INAIL, that are all the Italian workers working in private and public sectors, because it's the National Workers' Compensation Authority. Workers' insurance in Italy is public, is compulsory, and each employer needs to insure his workers with our institute. So this is just to introduce the situation. Now we will really dive into this topic of artificial intelligence and digitalization in occupational health and safety. And to start, I would like just to show you what the situation of digitalization was just 100 years ago. So 100 years ago, in 1924, the first telephone cable was laid connecting Italy from the city of Anzio, that is a few kilometers south of Rome on the coast, so connecting Italy to America, and in particular South America and the United States and New York. So 100 years ago, there was one single cable going across the Atlantic Ocean and connecting with telephones from Italy to the Americas. But 100 years later, the situation is like this. So now the connection across the globe is really very capillary, is connecting every part of the globe. And in the undersea, there are million kilometers of digital wires connecting all the globe. This is to understand how fast is the pace in which digitalization develops. And if you think of this picture, of course, this picture has come to the situation that it is probably in the last 50 years and not across the 100 that are separating us from the first cable. So everything is developing very, very, very quickly. Also, there are some studies that have been conducted in the recent years to analyze if enterprises are investing in digital solutions. And for example, there is this study that has analyzed from the World Bank that has analyzed the investments in digital solutions in different years and by firm size. So it is clear that there are huge differences between micro, small, medium, and of course, even more large enterprises. But what you can see is that in just 2 years, the pace of development and introduction of digital solution in companies is really has really steeply increased, and it is more than double in every kind of enterprise at different shares, different levels. But in 2 years, the use of digitalization has doubled in each kind of in enterprise. Also, the use of digitalization, of course, has been analyzed by other studies, like, for example, this study from the International Bank, to understand how digital tools are used and if there is any difference or any divide in the use of these tools and these technologies. And for sure, there are divides related to the economic development of countries, but also to specific characteristics that are related to, for example, the location where these devices and technologies are used, like the difference between urban or rural environments, the age of the users, so differences between youth and adult users, and also gender differences. But what is important to note is that while these are 2 points in time surveys, so 2019 and 2022, what is interesting to note is that the divide has decreased in all the regions and for all the indicators, but not in low and middle income countries, where the divide has instead increased. So, of course, this means that there need to be more attention and there will probably need more time for the introduction and the use in a more balanced and distributed and wide way of these technologies in low-income countries. Now, when we think of digital technologies in the world of work, of course, there are different types of technologies that impact in different ways the way in which we work, we develop our activities, we organize our daily work and also daily living. So, for example, we have advanced robotic and artificial intelligence. We have smart digital systems like the Internet of Things. We have remote working solutions that are really witnessed and credible increase and diffusion after the COVID and during the COVID-19 pandemic, where we were all locked in our houses and we all learned to work from remote and use computers to connect ourselves and to have digital meetings and digital connections with our workplaces. And finally, the digital platform work, which is a very sensitive area of work that has been very recently, and I can tell you from the let's say inside news that I have heard from my colleagues working in the government delegation at the ILC, at the conference for the approval and the adoption of the new tool, the new standard on digital platforms, that it has been a really tough 2 years discussion to get to this instrument that is anyway fundamental to provide some regulation, some standards for improving the working conditions and also the work organization of workers in the digital platforms that were until now really unregulated and open to a lot of informalities and let's say informal workers. Now, when we think of technological innovation in general and digitalization, we need to look at the different aspects that we can consider. So, for example, when we talk about innovation, technological innovation, we can think about robots, we can think about cobots, exoskeletons, and wearables that are all technological devices that are meant to support the workers in doing their work or in improving the working conditions and their exposure to risks that are present in their work environment. So, for example, robots and cobots are very common, let's say, devices and machines that are used, especially in large enterprises, to reduce the impact on musculoskeletal disorders and to improve the ergonomic condition of workers. At the same level, exoskeletons are wearable structures that can augment the capabilities of the human body in performing some job tasks, for example, in handling heavy loads, moving very large objects that are present in the workplace, and again reducing the ergonomic impact of the job task. Wearables are sensor or other smart devices like also clothes or personal protective equipment that can analyze data from related to, for example, physical parameters of the workers, not to control the worker, but to retrieve and obtain data that can be analyzed to observe what impact has the work environment or the working situation on their health, and improve and increase the exposure to risk factors that may be present in the work environment. So again, used in terms of occupational health and safety. On the other side, when we digitalization is the part related more to the let's say internet part and connectivity part, is more related to the development of connection of artificial intelligence in the world of work, and this has brought to, for example, the hybridization of work with a lot of possibilities for working from remote, working from home, which is a very good, let's say, solution for workers in terms of improving work-life balance and having more time to organize their work and putting together the daily living needs with the working needs and working commitments. But from another point of view, and it is that of, again, occupational health and safety, brings the worker a little bit far away from the employer and from the control that the employer can have on the work environment. Because when you work from remote and you work from home, for example, your house becomes the workplace. And of course, the employer has the responsibility and the duty to provide any kind of protection in the workplace from risks that may be present, but has no access to your private house. So there is a lack of control on the risks that may be present in the house, for example, for ergonomic, let's say, development of the working station, for which the employer is responsible, but on which he has no control. And also another important aspect of digitalization is the impact on work organization, in particular for the use of, for example, artificial intelligence in managing the workers and their, for example, organizing shifts, organizing activities, organizing assignments, and this is called algorithmic management of work. And also the impact that the introduction of these technologies have on workers' capacities, on workers' skills, because there might be the need of reskill the worker or to upskill their capacities to make them capable to use these technologies, or can introduce some psychosocial risk factors, for example, job insecurity. So the anxiety, the concerns and worries of losing job because you become useless for that situation because the technology can take your place and do the work in your place. So these are the aspects that we need to consider. Now I'm going to show you what are the concepts that we take into consideration when we develop research on the impact and that technologies and artificial intelligence can have on workplaces and workers' health. For example, the first one is defining the difference between robots and cobots. Here you can see that, for example, there are differences in the way in which the robots and cobots interact with the worker. For example, robots have a more autonomous and isolated situation, while cobots work in a collaborative way with the human worker. There are problems related to safety because there are physical barriers that may be needed, or there are issues related to the speed of work and pace of work that may be different and require the worker to adapt to the pace of work of the machines. There are issues related to programming. Of course, cobots are easier to program, while robots require a much more specialized knowledge. Costs are very different, of course, because the cost of a robot is really higher upfront, while cobots are more cost effective and can produce faster return on investment for many different applications. And then there is flexibility that is really important. Here, so moving from robots to cobots, there are differences that are related to the internal safety features and the presence of external sensor, and also the levels of collaborations between robots and cobots. And here you can see that there is an impact on the work environment, which requires new work organization and including increased technological control measures and maybe some inspectors observing how the work is performed and what are the situations and in the real work environment, and impacts also on workers, related most of all on the need of increased training to increase the capacity of workers to collaborate with these machines. There are problems and impacts related to acceptability, so the capacity of the worker to accept the collaboration with the machine and not with a human peer, and also problems related to adaptation and isolation, because you are interfacing with the machine and not with the human being, so there is maybe isolation, no dialogue, no speaking, no pauses, and this brings back to, again, like in a cycle, to the problems related to work organization because of the regulation of the pace of work and the rhythm of work and the exhaustion of the worker during his working shift. Some examples of what are the technologies and how they can be used in the research area. For example, what we develop and how we use it. For example, exoskeletons can be used for rehabilitation and return to work programs for injured workers. So workers that are not who have had an accident and need to return to work, but have lost some of their capacity of movement or of doing some gestures, some tasks, can receive an important support from this kind of external support like the exoskeletons. But exoskeletons can be used also in healthy workers to help them for example, heavy loads handling, so providing an external support and aid in performing heavy work activities. Another example that is instead related to a project on robots is the development of this robot that is called ErgoCab, and it is a humanoid robot which has connections also with wearable, it's connected through wearable sensor with the worker to increase the collaboration between the robot and the human worker. But what is important is that the studies that have been performed to arrive to this kind of let's say robot and this kind of collaboration between the human worker and the machine have been related not only to the, let's say, technological development of the robot, so like the robot design, but also to all the aspects related to the acceptability of the collaboration on the side of the worker, and these have been conducted in labs and also in real context, and also through interviews of 850 participants to understand also in which way and which feature should the robot have to be accepted by the worker, and how they can think to collaborate with the robot, and how the robot should appear and should behave and should look like in a daily collaboration. This has been a very long project that has come to the development of this robot called ErgoCab, that in an exhibit that INAIL organized 1 year, more or less 1 year and a half, a couple of years ago, where the President of the Republic was invited to attend. The robot went to the President of the Republic, shook his hand with the President of the Republic, and gave him a copy of the Constitution. So to show what the task of the robot could be and how you can program and educate the robot in performing some specific task. Now, instead, second part, the use of artificial intelligence in our institute and how we use it. It is used for different ways. It started, of course, as any innovation that really arrived in a very quick and massive way in all our computers, in all the workers and employees' computers. It started in a very unregulated way, so everyone using it in a different way. Now INAIL is building policies to define how we should use artificial intelligence in our daily activities, in research, in developing our scientific output, and how we should declare and regulate this use. For now and for today, I will just show and quickly what are the activities that we really that we conduct. What are the things that we use artificial intelligence for? And I will not get into the discussion related to governance of artificial intelligence and all the ethical impacts of the use of artificial intelligence when dealing with workers' data and work environments and whatever, because this will be discussed more broadly I think next week during the panel. So I'm not getting into that topic for now because it will be part of next week's program. But of course is embedded in all the discussions that we do. So when we think and we talk about artificial intelligence in particular, we always need to think that there are ethical implications, need of governance, need of control, need of data privacy issues, and a lot of aspects. Now, at INAIL, artificial intelligence is used for data collection and analysis, for reviewing the literature, in preparing some publications, in proofreading and editing works that are anyway have been written by the researchers, and also to develop data analysis related to image and sensors. The methods that we use are machine learning, decision tree and random forest, and for example, deep learning. The areas of research that we use artificial intelligence for in a more intensive way are related to musculoskeletal disorders, in particular all the, let's say, artificial intelligence embedded in the sensors and in the machines that are meant to reduce the impact of ergonomic risk factors. We use artificial intelligence for risk prediction, in some research activities related to noise and vibration. Again, nanoparticles, dust and fibers research. And finally, also in a program that we have on prevention of obstructive sleep apnea syndromes, that is a very interactive program used that we have in place for workers employed in the transportation sector. And this program uses a lot of virtual reality training systems and sensors and artificial intelligence, let's say, program sensors to monitor let's say the activation, the activity of these workers. Of course, artificial intelligence in synthesis supports our research workflows, and also our analysis that are risk focused. From research to regulatory guidance means that, as I was initially mentioning before, that we need to we use artificial intelligence in research activity, but then this research activity needs to be translated into something that will be of use for workers, for occupational health and safety practitioners, for employers, depending on what is the focus of the research that we have developed. So what we use artificial intelligence for is to identify emerging occupational health and safety needs when work becomes more digital and more algorithmically managed, and also and then we use it to translate evidence into recommendations, into production of guidance and software regulation for AI-related workplace risk and producing recommendation, guidelines, and soft regulation. But at INAIL, artificial intelligence is not yet used, and I hope it will not, for administrative or operational tasks for now. Main challenges of the use of artificial intelligence at INAIL are related to data security, especially because INAIL also holds a huge data set, database that is the database of the national statistics on accidents and work accidents and occupational diseases. So a lot of sensitive data. So of course, security of data is the main challenge when introducing this kind of technologies and this kind of devices. This is the reason why INAIL immediately, as the artificial intelligence start to become more used and more present into our computers, immediately defined a policy that provides each employee with a certified account with Copilot. They chose Copilot, but anyway, to have a license. They bought a license and provided an individual account for each worker in such a way that using a private account, data are more protected than using a public artificial intelligence system or chatbot or other tools that are present in the internet and in our computers. Of course, there are concerns related to research ethics, to data protection and data governance, and also there is still a limited AI expertise. Yes, Héctor?
Yeah, it was just a warning of the five last minutes. Diana, sorry, keeping time. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I will be on time. And benefits are anyway related to improved efficiency, increased accuracy, cost and time saving, and support for research development, of course. And there will be future expansions related to AI algorithms for structural integrity monitoring, for analyzing all the interaction between human and robots, human and exoskeleton, and the use of prosthesis, for the reduction of biomechanical risk, and for the improvement of work reintegration pathways. So most of all related to, let's say, ergonomics. We need anyway support for training and expertise building, for developing a sound and relevant legal and ethical guidance, and also to have more IT support. Last few slides related to a project that we have participated in is a project that was launched under the PEROSH network, that is the Partnership for European Research on Occupational Health and Safety, a network of which INAIL is part. And this project, called the ALMA AI, was related to algorithmic management of work. It was based it had the main objective of exploring how complex digital technologies for worker management affect occupational health and safety. It was based on a systematic review that screened initially 641 records and selected 39 publications. These were analyzed by couples of authors, so at least two authors assessed each record. And the main results show us that there is an increased and quite widespread use of digital technologies for work control and performance monitoring in Europe. So you can see here the reference year is 2019. On the left side, work control, and on the right side, performance monitoring. The results showed that almost 70% of European companies use at least one algorithmic management tool that is more common in logistics, manufacturing, retail, and call centers. And of course, the use is, let's say, directly proportional to the company size. And 70% of European companies report using algorithmic management tools for at least one management function between assigning work activities, to set working schedules, give instructions, but also track working time, monitor performance, and monitor health and safety. So not only work organization, but also a little bit, and this is more, let's say, challenging from an ethical point of view, workers, let's say, monitoring and control. Of course, there are implications related to the use of algorithmic management, related to the organization of work that can bring changes in the work organization and also impact the quality of jobs. And these impacts are negative, related to intensification of work, loss of job control and autonomy, dehumanization, or also increased anxiety, but also positive impacts, like, for example, real-time monitoring of physical and mental health well-being that can support a better tailoring of the work task and the allocation of activities, or also promote workers' engagement. Last important thing is that the European Commission delivered a document that is a living guideline on the responsible use of generative AI in research. And this is an important guideline that provides information and recommendations for the use of artificial intelligence from the side of researchers, so how researchers should use this artificial intelligence in their research work. But there are also recommendations for research organizations and also for research funders, because we know that artificial intelligence is used at different levels, with different levels, of course, of responsibility and different impact on the outcomes of what is developed through artificial intelligence. So to conclude, I just would like to give a couple of messages that are related to the need of keeping humans and workers at the center of the technological development. So we need to provide specific training to support workers to accept and adapt to changes. We need to protect privacy, ensure transparency, and promote responsible innovation. We need to mitigate the environmental impact of robots, cobots, exoskeletons, but also of artificial intelligence. That is something that is really consuming, for example, water resources at a very high pace, and this will have an impact on the environment as well. And also, finally, consider all the ethical and societal implications of Industry 5.0, which is the future of work. And with this, I have concluded my presentation. Thank you. I hope I kept the 30 minutes.
Thank you very much, Diana. Now let me pass the floor to Lars Hoffmann. As we shared already, he is coming from Siemens. He is responsible for the occupational safety and health management in Germany. So the floor is yours. Thank you very much also, Lars, for making this possible. We are very much honored with your presence. You need also to swap your presentation so that we see the whole slide, not the presenter slide.
Can you see the screen?
Yep, but you need to go into Anzeige Einzeigen and Stellungen, and then there you need to click it and then swap it. Exactly.
Can you see it now?
No. You need to stop it again. Exactly here. Exactly here. When you go to Anzeige Einstellungen.
Yeah.
Then Referent and Sixt, this one. Exactly. Now it's okay.
Perfect.
Great.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Lars. We know you are traveling. Thank you for making your time also.
Yeah. We always try our best. So thanks for the kind introduction, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everybody is doing well so far. So within the next couple of minutes, I try to give you a small insight into our organization, what Siemens is all about, and what we are doing in the context of digitalization, AI. When I say digitalization, it always includes AI, of course. So don't worry. I keep it simple. So what we are doing in regard to digitalization in the context of health, safety, and well-being of our employees. But before I'm going to show you some real hands-on practical examples, I would like to give you a very small insight what Siemens today is all about. I guess you all at least has heard the name Siemens, from household equipment in the past, or our core business in the past was power generation, power distribution. But over the last couple of years or decades, I would say we have undergone a significant transformation also in regard to business. Energy generation, energy distribution is now within the Siemens Energy AG. It's an own stock listed company, meanwhile. And the remaining business is now concentrated in Siemens AG. Here you see a brief overview what we are doing today. We have different type of businesses. One is so-called digital industries. Their core competency is the digitalization and automatization across the industry. You may heard about digital twins. So this is what they are working on, what their core competency is. Smart infrastructure is about smart buildings, smart decentral energy distribution, smart traffic systems, all these kind of things, mainly affecting cities. Mobility is building high-speed trains, subways. Health needs you may know from diagnostics, computer tomographs, MRTs, these kind of things. It's also meanwhile an own stock listed company, but we still have the majority on Siemens Health needs. Now it becomes interesting. Siemens Advanta is an internal service provider. There are more than 10,000 software engineers working in Siemens Advanta for our clients as well as for our own organization. So now Siemens today is among the 10 largest software companies in the world. Usually nobody knows. We all know Microsoft, Oracle, and these companies, but Siemens is among the top 10. And then we have, of course, some supporting businesses, financial services, where we finance projects at our customers. Siemens Real Estate, they are dealing with building new factories for us, new buildings, office buildings. Global businesses is payrolls, these kind of things. And foundation and technology is our science department. So this was just to give you a taste what Siemens is dealing with today, right? So now coming back to digitalization, when we at Siemens talk about or look at digitalization, we basically see two different worlds. On one hand, we see this, what we call the digital world. That's the world of course, the internet. That's the world of smartphones. That's the world of ChatGPT, of Microsoft Copilots, of wearables. So whatever is flooding around, the world of Alexas, everything that is available today and its potential to also support health, safety, and well-being of employees, right? On the other hand, we see the real world. That's the world, how we do business on a daily basis. And it is surprising that if you compare these two worlds, on one hand, there's this immense potential, now talking about health and safety of and well-being of employees, all the potential where we could improve the work environment. On the other hand, you see, and honestly said, sometimes how poor we are in the real world, right? So there is a potential. The question is, why don't we use it much more? Interestingly, if you look at the private sector, it looks different. People are using wearables. I know so many people that have wearables to say measure their performance level, their oxygen level, their heart rate, their skin resistance, whatever it can measure. People do it on a private side. We are using Alexas at home to order certain things, but we don't do it in the real world. Our cars are fully equipped with any kind of sensor you can imagine, with camera systems. If you look at the real world, at our factories, for instance, forklift trucks, how poor they are still equipped with these kind of new technology, it is sometimes really disappointing. Okay, so now this is a view how we see it, and what we are aiming for in Siemens is to more and more integrate the digital world and the opportunities with the real world, right? So this is our main aim, I would say. So now you may have realized that I several times mentioned well-being rather than occupational safety and health. We in Siemens are the opinion that we need to look at the individual much more at a glance, more holistically. In the past, health and safety department was looking through their classes on the individual. Then human resources was looking on it from a different perspective. But we are the opinion that whatever is influencing an individual in a positive way has to be balanced equally, right? So that's the reason why there's a trend, not just in our organization, you can realize it also globally, that more and more organizations are talking about the well-being of the employee. And of course, I think it's a no-brainer when I say a strong individual that is feeling well at work has a positive impact to the team where it works in, and of course, finally pays off for the business. So now the question is, can we measure the well-being at work? We are the opinion we can. So we have a couple of years ago, meanwhile, implemented a so-called work well-being score that can give us an indication how people perceive work, right? And it works via a digital platform. It is called Siemens Global Engagement Survey, SGES, Siemens Global Engagement Survey. Every 3 months, the platform automatically sends out a questionnaire with a number of questions to all employees around the world. They can give, on a voluntary basis, they can give feedback. And there is an AI in the background that does the analysis finally. So we get an overview every 3 months. Where are we in regard to well-being of our employees, right? And we can break it down from global to country to site to department level. Of course, data protection has to be considered, but basically each department can get an overview, each leader, about the well-being score of his or her organization, right? And then the AI gives also some recommendations. What could have been the impact that the score is going up or down, and what could be countermeasures to react accordingly. Yeah. Another topic, you all know risk assessment. In most of the countries around the globe, risk assessments are mandatory, so the employer has to evaluate the workplace or the task according to OSH risks, right? And in Siemens, we had a look at it and said, this process is not very efficient because we have, 15,000 risk assessments in our tool. So it's a database. Somebody has done a risk assessment for a workplace or for a task. It generates a document, it's archived, that's it, period. So the question is, what is the value add in having a document somewhere in a drawer? And the effect, the positive impact is what? And we said we need to make it more effective in regard to resources needed to create a risk assessment. We need to ease the process for the people being responsible for doing the risk assessment, usually the supervisors, at least in Germany. And we have to make it more dynamic rather than static. So, and we decided to use AI support here in supporting risk assessment. Don't get me wrong, our aim is not that the AI is doing the risk assessment on behalf of a responsible person. No, the aim is to support the responsible person, right? So, and it works quite well. So we have developed some bots within the Siemens GPT. It's similar to ChatGPT, but it is working in our own safe environment, of course. And the simple thing a supervisor can do is going to the machine, taking some photos, load it up into the bot, attaching some additional documents like material safety data sheets. The person hits the button, and the AI in the background does a pre-analysis based on the information given. So it analyzes the photos, it is detecting potential hazards, it is considering the attached documentation, it does finally an in-depth analysis, it gives you some recommendations for countermeasures, and now step 4 is the most important, because it keeps the human in the loop. We say, okay, whatever the AI is providing as a support has to be validated by a human being, right? Period. So otherwise, people lean back and say, okay, the AI is doing the risk assessment. There is no need for me to do anything, right? And then finally, somebody has to release. But our experience over the last 2 years, I would say, is really, really positive. So it is creating much more high quality risk assessments. It goes much more faster. So just after uploading some documents and some photographs, it takes 2 minutes to create almost a full-blown risk assessment. And now remember, like we did it in the past, a bunch of people went to the shop floor, went to the machine, were discussing, were collecting information, condensing the information, and then finally somebody had to do the paperwork, which is very inefficient from our perspective. And now we are becoming much more dynamic, because whenever something changes, we just give the AI the additional information and it's updating the risk assessment. That's the way it works. Right now, we are going away from the bots and creating a graphical user interface where people can simply drag and drop documents and pictures into the system. They can add speech to text. So almost everybody has a microphone on the computer. So you can add further information just by talking to the bot, and it is writing down everything. You can upload other documents. It can consider weather conditions if you are at a construction site, at a service technician site. And this is almost everything in real time. Very effective, very efficient. And there's a big trend across Germany or even Europe, I would say, where even the workers' insurance is very much interested in this approach, especially for the small and medium-sized entities. Large organizations like we have more than 330,000 employees. We usually have the resources to work with this, to develop something, but the small and medium-sized companies, they don't, right? And so we are working very close together with the German Ministry of Labor and the workers' insurance to finally get something that everybody can use. Another topic where we use AI is similar to risk assessment, ergonomic assessments. This becomes more and more interesting because of one topic is the demographic change. We are getting older, we get closer to our limits. And sometimes people do repetitive tasks, and it's not obvious that they have, let's say, some bad postures that could relate into musculoskeletal disorders. Finally, it takes a lot of time to see the bad impact. And in the past, it was a paper-based or Excel-based process where you had to fill in whether male or female is doing the work, the load, how many times the person does the movements. So very ineffective, especially in regard to changes. Workplaces are changes almost on a weekly or monthly basis in our organization. And today we are using an app. So where you take a 20-second, 25-second sequence of the movement of the employee, and the AI in the background, you can see it here on the picture, based on the parameters given to the system, is detecting the movement and posts out whether you have a disorder in your arm, in your knees, or wherever. The funny thing with this is, if you change a process or if you implement a measure to improve the situation, you can immediately check within a couple of seconds whether this measure is effective or not. So you don't need to wait 2 or 3 or 4 months until the person is complaining and say, okay, it improved my knees, but disimproved my back, for instance. So a couple of seconds, done. Completely different story. We heard from Diana that mobile working is becoming more popular. In Siemens, we decided during the pandemic and right after the pandemic to have much more mobile working. So people today do not meet in the office anymore. They meet somewhere, in a workspace, co-working spaces. So what we can offer today is, from our smart building department, for instance, we can equip buildings with really smart technology so that the building is interacting with the individual or with the people there. It sounds strange, but it's relatively easy. For instance, you're sitting together in a room with 10 people, you have a heat debate with your colleagues, and the people are wearing wearables, for instance, or you can use it also. You can do it also by using camera systems. So the wearable and the camera is calculating, based on the parameters from the individual, the mood within the room, right? So the building detects now the mood is changing here. They are more and more under stress, and the building can react accordingly. It can change the light. It can exchange or it can increase the air exchange. It can order the air if you want. So whatever you can imagine can be done finally. So the building is interacting with the individual. Or take the example, you're leaving the building at night. Meanwhile, there is frost outside. It's getting cold. It's getting slippy. The building can warn you in advance, saying, well, within the next couple of minutes, if you are going to leave, be careful. If you step outside, it's dark, it's wet, it's slippy, it's rainy, or whatever, right? Or the other way around, if you enter the building and if it is wet outside, the building will inform you in advance, be careful, it can be slippy on the stairs. So, not rocket science, possible today. Yeah, we talked about mobile, or we touched mobile working. In Siemens, there has been a decision a while ago that people can work 2, 3, or even more days from almost everywhere. And now this was changing the working model in general, because, you know, in the past, people were sitting next to each other. The supervisor had the chance to look into people's faces to see how their posture was, if the chair or the desk has been adjusted accordingly. If people are working remote, that's impossible. And since most of the people in Siemens are doing home office, we ask ourselves, is there anything we can provide to the people working from home, for instance? And we have implemented a small tool together with an external partner company. It's like it looks like a small tablet. You place it on a desk. It's not connected to the internet. It's not connected to the employer. It is just connected to you. So you set it up with your own parameters. And with a 3D sensor, it's not taking videos and photos. It has a 3D sensor and an AI in the background. And it observes how you sit, how you stay, how you behave, how your posture is. And it gives you, say, hints from time to saying, well, Lars, I realize that since 10 minutes you are sitting in the same posture. Wouldn't it make sense to get up and do some exercises? So it displays some exercises based on your parameters. Or if you say, I want to drink 2-3 liters, it will give you a hint from time to time. Now it's time to get a glass of water. Or it measures the CO2 level in your room, and it says, well, you should open the window. It monitors the air quality, humidity. All these kind of things are done to support the individual. Again, it's on a voluntary base. People can say, well, I want to take it. I want to change my behavior over time, and then you can give the device to somebody else. Yeah, we heard from Diana about robots and cobots. That's an interesting field since we are focused on industry automatization. There's a tendency that more and more cobots or assisting systems are present, especially in factories, also in our own factories. One reason is, as I said, the demographic change. You sooner or later come to your personal limits in regard to movements. So we need maybe assistant systems in the future, much more, especially if people have to work longer and longer and longer. On the other hand, we have to compensate somehow the unskilled labor market. People are not there to work for us. And another thing is also, of course, inclusion. We have many people that cannot move the left arm or the right hand or the neck or the head. And also here we want to keep the people busy, and we will give them a chance, and therefore we need assistance system. The challenge is, or the difference to the past, in the past there was a machine, there was a fence, and the human being. So clearly separated. Today they are working literally hand in hand. So the question now is, how does the robot knows how I feel today, right? And we can equip workers with wearables and also with camera systems. And based on the parameters the wearable and the camera detects, it calculates the parameters into my personal mood level. And this is submitted then to the cobot. So the cobot today knows exactly how I feel at work, right? So, and over time, the robot is getting a pattern, how I usually work, and it can easily detect if there's a, say, deficiency or a deviation. You know that from your car probably. Suddenly there's this coffee, cup of coffee blinking on your display saying you need a break, right? It's nothing different. The car in the background knows your driving profile, and once you are tired, you drive differently. You don't realize that, but the car does. So the AI says, okay, Lars today is in a bad mood. He's not performing as usual. I think I need to slow down, maybe, or I even I even stop. Sorry. So that is working quite well. We have tested it. We have some workstations where we have implemented it. It's great to see. Of course, there are some critical aspects as well. It's performance measuring, etc., etc. But this is something you can regulate. Yeah, we also use artificial intelligence in analytics. You can imagine in large organizations like we are collecting thousands and thousands of data. The question is, what do we do with the data? In the past, unfortunately, whatever was reported went into a database, and it was somewhere, right? Of course, you analyze how many lost time cases you have, how many near misses you have, how many first aid cases, but this is always the look back, right? And what we want to do is we want to switch from the reactive mode into the predictive mode. And therefore, we need to have much more in-depth analysis of data than we had in the past. And we need to combine our traditional OSH data with weather data, with quality data, with human resource data, etc. And this is what we are doing. So what we are working on right now is to create indicators that give responsible people like a shop floor supervisor an indication, a pre-indication that there's probably the likelihood that something is going to happen. So away from the way backwards towards looking almost into the future. But this requires very solid and high quality data. And in the past, we were lacking on high quality data. So also here we are using AI in the background. Typically, you know that a bot can do that. So people today can report in any kind of language you can imagine. We have sites where we have 70 different nationalities working. And if you ask somebody who is not familiar with the German language to report an EMS, they usually don't do it because they are afraid, they don't know the language, they don't do it. Today, it's not a problem anymore because everybody can do it in his or her own language. And then the AI in the background is doing a categorization, a classification of the incident, is asking for additional information if something is missing. So this increased significantly the data quality, which then goes into the, say, approved data pool. And finally, with solid data, you can do almost any kind of analysis you want. So this is then the output. So once we have all the data collected and ensure that it is high quality, we connect it with other data, as I mentioned, human resource, quality, weather, whatever is flooding around. And then we are processing it. It is interesting what AI can do for you in terms of analysis. In the past, we said, well, it was probably hot when this incident happened, but you don't know. Or it was, I don't know, winter season. Usually people become more and more depressive due to the darkness and the cold, but there was no link in the past to the data. And today this is relatively easy to link data, to connect data, and to get a much more comprehensive picture about what happened or what is potentially going to happen. So my clock says 25 minutes are gone now, and since I guess there should be time for the 1 or 2 or 3 questions, I would like to stop here. Thank you very much for your participation. Thank you very much for your patience. And I give back to Héctor.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lars. Thank you very much, Diana. I guess I was supposed to share some demo and some additional comments, but I will propose, let's go with some questions from the people so that they can get the most from your knowledge, Diana, and from your knowledge, Lars. I just want to give 2 words. I think it is, so if people would like then to put some questions in the chat, it's okay, let us know, or if not, you can just open the microphone and then ask the question. I just want to finalize by saying this has been a fantastic session. You saw already different possibilities of AI use cases, a real way of controlling it, right? Is a push to control it, to make it possible for us to use it in a good way. Artificial intelligence is bad for the bad and is good for the good. And these are fantastic examples, not just on daily work, but also on what might be needed for what is already an unknown, right? So research, discussing ethical questions, trying to shape policies, being always very careful on how to treat employees, how to treat the relationship employers-employees, and etc. So I am just very grateful for this possibility that you gave us, Felix, and the ITC-ILO, also to Diana and to Lars. I see Portia. Oh, go, Lars, you wanted to say something.
No, just one additional comment, because whenever I talk to people, there are questions for me. Say, well, yes, it's nice, but yeah, of course, at the end of the day, it's about individuals, it's about human beings. And you can imagine, in Germany, we have a very, very strong workers' council and unions, and whatever we are going to implement has to be subject to co-determination with the workers' council anyway. What I want to say is, the ifs and buts should not hinder us from start thinking, how can AI support the individual? How can we make their lives easier and better? This is my personal main objective. And if we come to the conclusion, yes, AI can support, then we can, and we need to discuss what are the do's and don'ts, what are the ifs and buts, and how can we overcome that people fear to get monitored, to get controlled, to get observed. In the past, we managed it well. I remember the introduction of smartphones. It was a huge debate in our organization. They are 24/7 available. They need to pick up the phone if somebody's got. No, it's not. We have managed it. And what I would love to see is that we are a little bit more open at the beginning. Say, okay, let's check first, is there a value add? For whom is the value add? And if not, we drop it. But if we see there's a potential to make life easier and better, then let's start think about how we can do it and what needs to be done to make it happen, right? Sorry.
Yeah, no, thank you, Lars. Portia, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. I do.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Lars. I think your very last submission answered my first question about how we are going to implement AI in the workplace for the good of the people, or to improve the overall work experience of people. Because my concern was, if we are going to measure the mood of people, do people really want to know, or others to know, that they are in a foul mood or they are upset? Those bothers on privacy. But then at the end of the day, when you're looking at it in the sense that, okay, when somebody is upset, you lower the light, it brings their mood down and all that. So that perfectly answers my first question. My next question, which I'm interested in, is the risk assessment, because I do a lot of risk assessment, is that when you are using this whole process of the AI, is the person undertaking the job, not necessarily the HSE officer or advisor or whoever, the one identifying the hazards. So typically I would go around, pick on every hazard in the workspace I'm working on, come and do an evaluation, put in pictures, etc. In using the AI, is it the worker who is inputting the surroundings or the process or the MSD, the SDS that we are using, or it is the safety officer that is putting in these documentation? How do you balance it? Am I just taking a picture of the situation, not taking into consideration the processes that is going on there to analyze, so that when we get an output, you know that it's as close to reality as possible? Thank you.
Thank you, Portia. So I'll give the word to Lars to answer, but Diana, if afterwards you would like them to add, feel free also to comment. So go, Lars.
Yeah, the second question, risk assessment. I mean, it's clear the responsibility to do risk assessment is with the employer. Now, since the managing board of our organization can't do it on their own, they have, let's say, assigned it to the supervisors because they are representing the employer at the end. So finally, it's the supervisors, the employer task to perform the risk assessment. However, at the end, it's a teamwork because the worker knows the workplace or the activity best. So it is essential, finally, that the worker gives an input, the professional, the safety experts have their input, the medical doctors have their input. But in the past, it was so inefficient process because it took sometimes days, weeks, or even longer to get it done. Today, each and everybody can do it with a smart. You can do it with your smart. You enter your data as an employer, as a supervisor. You enter your data as a worker, and finally, the AI grabs everything together, condenses, and does, let's say, a proposal for a risk assessment. But as you said correctly, at the end of the day, all relevant people has to pay their contribution. The AI is supporting, and it's not independently doing the risk assessment, right? The first question was about
the mood, measuring the mood.
Yeah, of course, that's a critical aspect, of course. Let me ask a different question. If you have a serious accident or a fatality in your organization, what happens afterwards? Somebody or a lot of people will ask, how comes? How could this have happened, right? Yeah, it's too late. So sometimes you have to balance between Of course, it's a sensitive topic to let's say, let the AI have calculated my actual mood and transfer it into whatever kind of system. So it has to do with my personal performance. On the other hand, I know a lot of people who have been exposed to serious accident fatalities, and they would answer, if I would have known that Lars had been in a bad condition mentally, I could have prevented the incident, right? So I know that this is a sensitive topic, but do we want to prevent the incident, or do we say, okay, shit happens at the end of the day, right? It has to do with the culture in an organization. If the organization is not mature enough to deal with these aspects, forget about it. Yeah. But at one point of time, we say, okay, if we say we focus on the well-being of employees, we focus on the individual, and our aim, at least in our organization, is that each and every one who is working for us or on our behalf has the right to go home healthily and safe, period. Yeah.
Thank you, Lars. Diana, you wanted to comment?
Yes, please. So let's start from the risk assessment. And one thing that we need to keep in mind is that even we talk about digitalization, new technologies, everything that is really changing the world of work, but it is not changing our rules, what we have built across many years of experience in terms of risk assessment and also workers' participation, for example, that is a fundamental component of the process of risk assessment and of prevention in workplaces. So even when we talk about new technologies, we still, and the risks that are introduced by these new technologies in a workplace, we still need to go through the risk assessment process, keeping in mind what are the fundamental components of the risk assessment, that are the responsibility of the worker, the participation of the employer, the responsibility of the employer, the participation of the worker, the involvement of the occupational physician when it is required for specific kind of risk, and the participation of health and safety managers in a participatory approach that brings together all the components that are present in a work environment, in a company, to define what are the risks for the health and safety of the workers and what are the best ways to, avoid these risks, reduce them, eliminate if it is possible, or reduce them according to the hierarchy of controls that you can put in place in risk assessment and management. So this is fundamental. So of course, in the case of the use of artificial intelligence, the feedback from the worker is an important component to understand what are the interactions and the perceptions of the worker related to the introduction of these technologies, of these devices, of these tools, and if they are perceived as a support or as an additional risk. So this is to say about risk assessment. About measuring mood, this is something very particular, because one thing is measuring mood or individual perceptions of the worker, and one thing is the mental health of the worker that you do not need to monitor. I mean, you have other instruments to assess mental health of the workers in workplaces, because you have done risk assessment, you have looked into work organization, you have probably made the assessment and management strategies for work-related stress and all the impact that this has on the mental health of the worker. So it's not really, mood is one thing and mental health is another one. When it comes to individual perception, we need to remind that at least at European level, of course, this is something very typical of the European Union, not yet widespread at global level, but at the level of the European Union, we have the AI Act that set very specific rules on what can be, which kind of data can be taken and analyzed and stored by artificial intelligence, and what cannot be absolutely taken into consideration or registered, and individual perceptions, individual features are absolutely those that should not be analyzed, and that bring the use of artificial intelligence the artificial intelligence looking into these aspects into the level artificial intelligence considered at the very high risk level. So we have the pyramid of risk for artificial intelligence tools, and those looking into personal data, especially related to individual perceptions and face recognition and things like that at the very high level risk, and should not be used, especially when it gets into workplaces. So this is something that is in Europe, but could be a model for an ethical development that could be used also at a broader level across the globe. So I'm over. Oh, you are muted, Héctor.
Sorry. Yeah. Thank you, Diana. We have another question from Nuru, and then another one from Ferdi Karakaya. So, and I guess probably, yeah. So let's go first with the one from Nuru, is in the chat. If you can read it, Diana, I think this will start with you. And then, of course, Lars, if you would like them to comment on that one, that's also okay. It's in the chat. I will read it out loud in case somebody is not reading the chat. So, as cobots evolve to interpret human emotions and engage with staff as responsive co-workers, they inherently require access to substantial personal datasets. This capability prompts a critical question: what are the primary data privacy vulnerabilities and governance challenges introduced when these systems handle such sensitive information in real time? This question is rephrased using AI, but is my original concept question. Thank you, Nuru. This goes pretty much to what you were saying, Diana, and then so you can start, and then Lars, you can also comment if you want. Yeah. Oh, you're in mute also.
Yes, I have not much more to add compared to what I said already before. So, of course, it is something, the interaction between human workers and machines is a very relevant and important part of this collaboration, because, of course, it deals with the performance of work, of performance of the job task, and implies levels of acceptability, of interaction, of capacity to collaborate with the machine. For this reason, an important part of the, let's say, research that we have developed at INAIL related to the development of robots, cobots, and whatever, is exactly related to this, to the way in which workers can accept and what we need to do for improving the acceptability of workers of the machines that they have to collaborate to. So, for example, it relates to features, it relates to colors, to the kind of, for example, when we talk about robots, if they have to look like humanoids or if it is better that they look more like machines, because there is also a matter of individual interaction, and you need to remember that you are working with a machine and not with another human being, and you need not to mix things. So this could be something. And then the ethical part is that related, and for at least for EU countries, it's really well regulated by the AI Act. That gives us very clear directions on what can be done and what should not be done.
Yeah, I fully agree with what you said, and I don't see the necessity that a cobot or an AI-driven system has access to personal data. So I don't see that, to be honest. So the cobot doesn't care about who I am at the end of the day. The only thing the cobot needs to know is there is a human being working very close to me, and I get an indication from time to time how this person is behaving, right? So I don't see the necessity to provide any personal data to the AI, to the machine at the end of the day.
And, thank you, Lars. Thank you, Diana.
Maybe to the next question, because of course this is one among the top 3 questions if we talk about responsibilities for risk assessment and who is liable at the end of the day. At least in Germany, it's crystal clear. The employer stays responsible, whatever happens at the end of the day. So if you remember my slide, it was step 4 saying, this green one, the human has to be in the loop, and the risk assessment has to finally be evaluated, accepted, and signed by the individual, by the responsible people. So there is no way out, right? The employer stays responsible. And if the AI does a mistake, okay, then you shouldn't have relied on the AI at the end of the day. That's the reason why we enforce that professionals and responsible leaders do the final sign-off.
Yeah, I think I agree absolutely with you. And I think that we need to remember that artificial intelligence is a tool that needs to support the employer and the other OSH professionals in doing risk assessment, but it's not a substitute. So it cannot do risk assessment in place of the persons that are responsible for the process. So it's a tool to support.
And that's, by the way, one of the questions that are flooding around in Germany. We are discussing it with the German ministry and with the workers' compensation, where to get people information from today, right? Everybody is almost using Copilot and ChatGPT. And if you say, just a simple question, a supervisor is asking ChatGPT, how often do I have to train my employees? And you get an answer. And usually the person is satisfied with the answer. Say, okay, now I know. The question is, where does the answer come from? What is the source of data for this information? And this is really dangerous, because there's a tendency that people just rely on what Google answers, what ChatGPT answers, or Copilot answers. And right now we are discussing in Germany and in Siemens, how can we ensure whoever is asking Chat or Siemens GPT gets an answer based on an evaluated high quality information source. So right now we are working on connecting legal requirement databases and other databases to our systems, just to ensure that our experts, our supervisors, our leaders, whenever they ask a system, get an evaluated 100% correct answer. Today, there is a danger that people take everything for granted that the system feed back to them. And this is really, really dangerous. And if something goes wrong, you cannot say, yeah, but the ChatGPT answered me, I don't need to do it, right? That's one of the downsides of the new technology. And that's the reason, by the way, why we in Siemens have a Siemens GPT. It is running in a fully secured environment. So just to ensure that no information goes out, of course, we don't want to share our secrets. And on the other way, that we have under control what is used as a data source. That's the reason why you have own Siemens GPT.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Lars. Thank you, Diana. I think this last question bridged very good. I mean, all questions were very good, and all of them bridge then to the closing, which is the importance of governance. It's not just a tool. You see, it's also about thinking on ethics, it's thinking about relationships, it's thinking about what do we want to achieve, purpose, how do we want to achieve it, methodology, with what we want to achieve it, tools, what people are in being involved, people, right? So the 6 elements that we have been discussing. So thank you very much to all. I give the last 3 minutes to Felix to finally close. And thank you very much, Diana. Thank you very much, Lars. And thank you very much to all the participants. And thank you very much, Felix.
I need to step out. I apologize. And if there are any questions afterwards, don't hesitate to contact me directly. So you're welcome.
Thank you, Lars.
Thank you very much, Lars. We will share your
please.
presentation, so they will have your reference there. Thank you so much. Thank you so much also.
Stay healthy and safe. Bye.
Goodbye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Diana. We will have the chance to have you again next week here, sharing other experiences, very similar, probably, and in the same line. And next Wednesday, we will have you with us here. And also, we will have Héctor next week with us, and you will also have the chance to ask him directly anything that you may require from your plans. I think is a quite interesting, has been a quite interesting set of presentations. Just to open our, let's say, our topic of occupational safety and health, digitalization, and artificial intelligence. I would like to bring to the attention to all participants that we have opened several sections in the platform. And these platforms, the platform, you can have one part that is called residential phase, in which you can see information that is relevant for the next week. Particularly, I think that for those of you that has not been here in Turin or in our center, will be very helpful to have all this information. I have also opened another section. It's a section on peers review. As I mentioned before, one of the assignments that you have, and it's an assignment to try to connect this course with your professional reality. So the idea is that you start thinking one problem, one situation, a process, a procedure that you may want to improve in your organization and enterprise, propose a solution, a feasible solution, tool or method or approach, connected with digitalization, etc., connected with the contents that of this course, and then analyze in which extent they will produce results. The idea will be that this presentation that should take not more than 5 minutes. I'm talking about just 4 slides. So you can start preparing this presentation, and next week you will make a presentation, this presentation for the rest of the fellow students, so that they can provide some feedback about this kind of idea that you are proposing. So as mentioned, the purpose of this exercise will be that this is not just this course will not be just a theoretical exercise in which you receive a lot of information, but something that we may help you to think in which way you can propose things to your organizations, and analyzing the problem, making the proposal, analyzing the governance issues, the challenges, the limitations, as well as the benefits, of course. So to have a view of any kind of proposal more comprehensive when you or your organization start thinking in this kind of things. I will send to you anyway an email providing you with more precise information in this regard. Thank you very much. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your questions, all of you, and see you next Monday, hopefully. Okay? Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
See you next
Goodbye,
week.
everyone.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye bye, everyone.